this is the challenge about the world we live in. As much as we celebrate data, this is what we are facing as an industry. And on a daily, monthly, quarterly, there's this thread of cookies being removed. You know what cookies are, right? You're looking for sneakers, white sneakers. You go on Instagram, you see them. You go on Google, you see them. And you wonder, like, how do they know? Because you opt somewhere that you said allow to track, and they're following you. But now, as marketers, how are we going to market to people when cookies are removed? Anyone has an answer? How are we going to market to consumers through digital if they remove the cookies? Liam?
You just have to generalize what you advertise, because obviously the customer checks the cookie or whatever, you won't be able to get the insight.
But you're in this class now, so I'm sure you're not wasting your money now. You're in a data class. So if they remove the cookies, how are we going to market to the customer? But it's a question, we're all trying to figure out the question. Another challenge is this one. Depending on the category that you operate in, you're almost subject to policy, you're almost subject to who's in charge at the time. I worked for a retailer that sold alcohol. And one of our biggest challenges was, I don't know who that is at the back, but that guy. Oh, you know him? This beautiful minister doesn't like alcohol. Right? And I mean, we do live in a country that's, alcohol is it's abused. It's all this. So I get where he's coming from. But if you work for this business and they say, oh, we're going to ban advertising of alcohol, it's like, hey, man. But the business says we must still advertise alcohol. Again, right? You need to be creative. You need to use your tools. You need to use the data. One of the things was, okay, you can't advertise during daytime because kids are watching. A simple thing is advertise in the evening. Then, but no one is watching TV in the evening. Then what that leads to, and this is a data thing, it gets us to this point where we then focus on first-party data. And first-party data basically means that a business mines its own data, own CRM, builds its own CRM about its customers. So if I sell coffee, I want to know Andile. So Andile, on her way to work, stops at the coffee shop, buys, and then I introduce things like rewards. You sign up, then I get your data. Because when the minister says no more advertising of coffee, it's fine. Because I can communicate to Andile directly, obviously with her permission, right? And that's the beauty of data. And it will allow us to answer the question of where is half of the money that we're saying is lost, is wasted? Where does it go to? Because with data I can be more precise, I can advertise directly to who I want. So deeply understanding your customer behavior and preferences is the most important thing ever, actually. You wanted to say something? Oh no, just the lady in front of you. Oh, okay, so I saw your mouth move, I was like, okay. And those who are marketers in the room, this is normally one of the briefs that come in, right? So it says, target Generation Z in SA to buy our new shoes. And you're like, Generation Z? Where do I start? Oh, sorry, I'll be done. That's when I wake up. So Generation Z is made up of 27.5 million people in South Africa. That's how big that audience is. So when you say I must market to Generation Z, who are you talking about? Are you talking to Tiamo? Are you talking to Teboho? Are you talking to female, male? But with a lack of data, it's by the by, right? That's when I just have a billboard and say, Generation Z, buy my new shoes. and someone says, but you wasted my money because who are you talking to? And it speaks to the persona idea, knowing exactly who I'm marketing to. Do we have any fishermen in the team? People who fish? I started that we had fishermen, but anyway. So, do you know the difference between the two methods? Yeah. So this is the net, and this is spear fishing, right? So Liam, when I use the net, what do I get? Do I get more fish? Do I get all the fish?
Not all the fish, but you get a higher percentage of your own fish that's available.
But I'm looking just for snook.
Okay, so you're getting more, but it's less targeted.
So there's waste.
It's a mix of fishes.
So this is the billboard, and this is the class we're in, data, by being precise. Which one is more expensive? Which one is less expensive? Spear fishing is more expensive. Thank God that you did your homework. So this is what we're trying to get to. Honestly, when you start this journey in any organization, this is going to be more expensive using the hook. Because now you're trying to target someone in a personal way, have communication for them. But once you grow your not customer base, but that market of yours, of your customer, that audience, once you grow it and you mine it and you understand the behavior, it becomes cheaper as you go. At the start, it will be more expensive. It's easier to just put up a billboard, right? But the more customer information you have, the more easy it gets, because now I'm not just communicating for the sake of communicating, but I'm communicating because you drink wine occasionally, and I'm giving you the information about that. So I might have to communicate to you once a week as opposed to every day. These numbers from McKinsey says that 71% of customers expect companies to deliver personalized interactions. That's what customers expect. You know, like, don't call me for insurance, I don't have a car. Or don't call me for this, I don't have that. You know? And then 76% say they get frustrated when it happens. How many of you, when you see a number, and now they're getting so clever, it looks like a normal number, it's not a call center number, and you pick up, and they're like, sorry, and you're like, shucks. I'm in the middle of, something. And that time I'm thinking is, I want the load to something. There's another cell phone company that's calling me. And that's what we're trying to avoid. You remember who has Truecaller on their phone? You have it. But you're in a marketing class, right? It shows that us as marketers actually don't believe in what we do. Because we are the ones giving the instructions. Because that's part of that's a tactic. It's part of the plan. Like, you can reach them on billboards, call center. Now we have true callers. Like, we don't want these people to call us. But at work we're presenting, we must target them with, So but data will help us solve that. The question about what happens when the cookies go away, what happens when the ministers say the ban of alcohol or ban of advertising, then this is the power of rewards of mining our own data. The reason why they ask us to sign up and to swipe and do you have this card every time you go buy something? It's not because, Nje. It's because they're preparing for the day they don't have to advertise. They're preparing, it's helping them be more precise. It's helping them understand that the lady over there drinks wine occasionally. It's helping them understand that I buy bread every other day, not every day, right? And you can see how, just looking at the most frequently used loyalty programs, and I've got an issue with the term loyalty, because I don't think people who have loyalty cards are loyal at all. Because I carry clicks, this came, name them, right? So loyalty must change the name. But you can see that Checkers Extra Savings is at number 1, ShopRite, Capitec, Clicks, Pick and Pay. And it's not a surprise that they're up there, right? But because we use them. all the time.
But some of those is because you get real discount, like clicks.
Mm.
You do get proper discounts.
And it's interesting thing about the clicks as an example is that your discounts and mine are not necessarily the same.
Yes, I know.
It's based on your behavior.
Yeah, but some of them just collect data, you don't get any discounts.
Maybe for now, maybe they're at that phase where they're moving from the net to the spear, perhaps.
Yeah, Woolworths, how long have they been? Woolworths is just for general purposes.
You don't get any discount.
You do get, like, they tell you, go to the app, you'll see the voucher, but it's never there.
It's never there.
It's never there.
But then
And then I get it on coffee.
at Woolies, exactly. Yeah, clearly people buy more wine than coffee. Here's a coffee drinker who gets discounts. But remember, the objective here sometimes is to just look at behavior. Maybe it helps them to know, okay, in your area, we must have more of this product because our customers buy. And that's the thing about data and knowing your customer. Ideally, it would be to give you discounts, but maybe that's how if you go to a particular Woolies, you'll never run out of a particular product because they know people in this area, they love tomato sauce of this brand, right? And you find some Woolies will have less of something like, because you don't buy there every day. And how do they know about that? Through the data. The whole point, and I mean, this is being done in other markets in the world where they've had loyalty and data marketing for longer than us. But the idea of data, especially from a loyalty card point of view in retail, is to get to this point. Based on my patterns, we buy this on this day at this hour, right? You get to a point where bread is delivered before I even order it because they understand my patterns. So you've seen now with these loyalty cards, they even ask you to subscribe. Like every month you just pay 100 Rand. And then when you deliver, you don't have to pay for delivery. The point is to get enough data on us as customers. So when we run out of items, they get delivered seamlessly. And even from a marketing point of view, that's what we're trying to get to. So we don't waste any money when it comes to marketing. That the customer that we're speaking to is a high value customer in a way. It's a customer that buys one item today and buys two the next day because we speak to them directly. So now the question is, how do I move her from being an occasional drinker to a frequent drinker? Hey, it sounds irresponsible, no? Hey, but marketing, it's about the man.
1 glass every day instead of 1 glass in 7 days.
You see? She answered herself, so it's good. We're getting there. From a music point of view, those who use Spotify as an example, and then there's Spotify Wrapped that comes through. And then there you can see the music that you consumed over the past years, right? It will say that Big Boss over there listened to Amadodana the entire year, or Bafedile listens to Bacardi, or someone listens to Hillsong. But then there you get to understand exactly what the customer is. So this morning, I'm sure people listen to different music in the morning, or you listen to radio in the morning. At work, you listen to different genre of music over the weekend, but that's data. What that allows us to do is this. It allows us to understand what's right and for which occasion. So waking up, we can now say, okay, as a brand, we could feed people some certain content because of what they listen to. So in the morning, I want to play to you Mzege Zege. It's too early. I want to ease into my day. But if you have kids and you're driving them to school, they might listen to Taylor Swift, right? But if I know that, okay, this person listens to Taylor Swift, that means they have kids. There's no way you're going to listen to Taylor Swift in the morning if you don't have kids. So what? I'm going to sell you kid products now in the morning. I'm going to remind you during the day, like, oh, lunch is coming up. But that's from the data that I know about you, right? What's interesting about this is that this is almost from like 100-year-old quote here, right? And it's still relevant today. These are the discussions that we're having in boardrooms on a daily basis. The marketing team, unfortunately, is one of those departments that everyone just looks to, right? There's a thing, I heard this once, is that when they're reporting results in the business, so when the CEO stands in front of the business and announces the results, Nobody even questions them. They just said, Andy, that's correct. When IT comes, they might complain and say, we need to move from Microsoft to this. But that's almost the extent of it. But maybe I want to access internet from home. That's the extent of it. When HR comes, it's like, we must hire more people from UJ because they're better. But that's the extent of it. Then when marketing comes, everyone has an opinion. We didn't like the colors. We didn't like the billboard. We didn't like the ad. Because marketing is that important for me. That's how I interpret that thing, is that marketing is so important that everyone has an opinion, right? But because everyone has an opinion, people will ask you this question. Yes, we're spending the money, but what are the results? And the only way we can actually answer this about the other half, data allows us, technology allows us, because now we can say we spend X amount of people, we targeted X amount of customers, and from those customers, these amount of customers actually went through the funnel and they went to purchase. With the billboard, it's hard to answer this question. Yes, we flatted 10 billboards on the highway. So which one is actually converting, right? But with data and with digital, we can measure it. And that's the point of the slide. And here's a quote, that says, by Idris, it says, until you understand your customers deeply and genuinely, you cannot truly serve them. So until I know that boss is not boss, but it's Olu, then I can serve him. Until I know that the person who's hijacked is Tshepang, the gorgeous George Makofane, I can get them rescued quicker, right? And that's the whole point of understanding your customer. Starting a company now is that you are digital first. You cannot, I judge the Youth Owned Brands Awards. And it's interesting that like 90% of the companies that enter the awards, all they have is just Instagram and Twitter. And they're doing so well. Their shops are online, they don't have websites. At first I was like, why don't they have websites? But no, the kids are like, no. The first thing I do is go on Instagram to search for anything. Then I have TikTok. So the question is, and it depends on the category. I like what the lady said earlier on about the bread question, right? Like maybe for bread you can sell to everyone. It depends on the category. It depends on who your customer is, and also on your brand. There's some brands now who are going off social altogether, and they want people to come into store and experience the brand, but because they are high-end brands, right? It's something to wait 2 years just for a bag. But if yours is chicken licken, be everywhere, because that's your category, and that's who you're competing against. But if you're gonna be niche, boutique, exclusive, by all means, remain digital, remain that. But if you're gonna speak to the entire world, you have to do everything. We worked on SASA, trying to convert people from green rod, when they used to get money on cash, to cards. I came in with this digital guy. I should have put in the picture. I ended up in calling communities, like the councillor and the chief and getting all these goggles in a community wall and speaking loud hailing. And I was like, this is me. After all these years of digital, I'm here. But one, understand the audience you're speaking to. Because how I'm going to tell go, from tomorrow you have to remember your PIN card using WhatsApp. But then to show you how both worlds work, after maybe a few months of trying this thing of how do I convince a 70-year-old to remember her PIN code? Something said, but then I'll check the relationship between, myself or my grandmother and myself and other kids in communities, that the grandmothers trust the grandkids so much. So let's speak to the grandkids. The grandkids understand tech, but not the 18-year-old clever. No. That one will steal Gogo's card. But the kid in primary school, funny enough, the kid that's 9, 10, that if anyone wants Gogo's card, they'll tell Gogo, Maluma, try to take your card. Then we started focusing on those kids. And those kids became the best form of advertising because they understood technology, they are digital first. So it's a mixture. And in this case, like the SASA case, we had to combine both worlds. Mara, not for Gogo. Gogo digital was gonna, they forget the pins every day. And they all go with this. The first pin was like the birth date. But the grandkid knows the birth date. So the money disappears. And Gogo wanted to draw all the money at once because he's used to getting all the cash at once. Now it's like, Gogo, no, the money in this card doesn't disappear. It stays. But Gogo's like, I want to see all my money because Mandela gave me the money. Mandela, right? So, I mean, to answer your question, depends on your category, depends on who you're trying to target. But both for me always works. There's a book called Long and Short of It. Bernard, I don't forget his surname. Bennett could be his surname. But the long and short of it. And it speaks to digital versus traditional media and how to use both worlds. Because one allows you to build a brand. So brands like Coke and Samsung and the MTNs and the Vodacoms, the reason why we can recall them so easily is because they did the brand job. So now when digital comes in, they're just reminding you all the time. Right? So, and that's who you're up against. So they've done the heavy lifting of Yebo Gogo, we still remember it. It wasn't built on digital. It was a brand job. It was the billboards. It was the events. It was all these things. And now that's why 20 years later, we still recall Yebo Gogo or Yellow Sama or Waka Waka. You know, it's because of the, yeah. An example that we did recently, it was for Corenza. So Corenza was a brief, we want to promote this brand of ours. Then I went on Twitter and I just typed in Corenza. And then from there, we found, I think it was Somizi who was saying, I have an MC gig later on, I need to use Corenza. Bonang says something, I need to use Corenza. But then if you go down, you see people are saying, Corenza, if I mix Corenza with this and this and that, and you're like, okay, but customers are already giving information about how they use your own product, right? But data and technology allows me to now listen into conversations because everything people do, they just put it online anyway. Then from there, the campaign was Corenza iya sebenza, the only recommendation. Because what we did, we then started intercepting these recommendations that people were giving and giving them the actual recommendations. Like, no, you cannot mix Corenza with Stony and no. Use Corenza and, you know, like give them the right recommendation. But we just intercepted conversations. And you'll see now you do something and the brand will comment under your, because they are just listening. And that's what data allows us to do. So the more things change, the more they stay the same. We're in a digital class, but I would love to put it, and Doc, you can maybe ban me from coming here, but I've been here 2 times in a row, 2 years, that means I'm good. So the more things change, the more they stay the same. These are love letters, or letters in general. When I took out Lobola, I couldn't send a WhatsApp to my father-in-law. They had to send a letter, right? And yes, it's years later, but it still applies. And the reason why is because by using data, it allows us to be more personal. And by being more personal, we become more direct. And by being more direct is that we have to speak directly to the consumer with name, surname, and da-da-da. So remember those dear, They are now back, unfortunately. We are back at that age. Like my mother-in-law sells, remember home choice and pressless and stuff. And she will spam you on WhatsApp. Like, do you want another Juve? Do you want another? And that's the point of, you can't say no. But it's because she knows us. She knows that in this house, there's X amount of rooms, there's amount of beds, it's winter coming, buy this.
And the last time they bought, so it's time to
Exactly. So she can even predict, you know? And that's the thing about technology and the world we live in. You know, like both Justine, Avon, all these things, it was direct marketing. They were almost ahead of their time. And the only way we're gonna survive in the future is to know our customers so we can do what they do. You can't sell someone a Juve if they don't have a bed. And the only way you know that is having enough data on them.